Don't let YouTube decide what information you get. That's your choice. YouTube is deleting our videos and cuts you off from a source of honest reporting. Make sure you don't lose access to NTD's news content, and take a quick moment to subscribe to our newsletter so no matter what happens here, you'll keep your access to a trustworthy news source.
Oregon Governor Kate Brown has quietly signed a bill allowing high school students to graduate without proving they can read, write, or do math. She signed the bill into law last month, but her office did not announce the signing. In addition, the Oregonian reported that the move wasn't entered into the legislative database for about 2 weeks, and that people who signed up for alerts about the bill never received one. An aide to the governor told the paper that suspending the proficiency requirements for graduation would benefit Oregon's students of color. The bill suspends the requirements while the state's Department of Education conducts a review. The department's been told to take an equitable approach in recommending changes to the proficiencies needed for a high school diploma, as well as identify the causes of graduation disparities and whether the requirements have been applied inequitably to different student populations. Critics have likened initiatives such as these to critical race theory and say it puts low expectations on people of color. And the Texas House Democrats who fled their state are now facing arrest when they return. The Sergeant-at-Arms of the Texas House is serving their arrest warrants today.
Texas House Speaker Dade Phelan signed the warrants for the 52 Democratic lawmakers on Tuesday. This came after the Texas Supreme Court cleared the way for the arrests. It suspended a temporary restraining order a lower court issued on Sunday that would have blocked the arrests. But one of the Democrats, Gene Wu, will not face arrest for now. He filed a writ of habeas corpus in criminal court, and a Harris County judge ruled in his favor on Wednesday. And the Texas Republicans may be facing additional obstacles. A Democratic lawmaker announced Wednesday that she is going to filibuster the election reform bill in the Senate. Over 50 Texas Democrats fled their state last month to prevent the House from passing the voting bill, and they are currently still in Washington, D.C.
The Senate just passed an amendment to ban federal money from being used to promote critical race theory. Republicans managed to get it through in the Democrat majority chamber. NTD's Miguel Moreno has that story.
Republican Senator Tom Cotton's amendment passed this Tuesday, an amendment that will ban federal money from being used to promote CRT in schools.
In America, our rights have no color. Our law and society should be colorblind, and as Dr. Martin Luther King said, we should all be judged we should not be judged by the color of our skin, but by the content of our character. Sadly, today, some want to replace our founding principles with an un-American ideology called critical race theory. They want to teach our children that America is not a good nation, but a racist nation.
The only Democrat to vote in favor of Cotton's amendment was Senator Joe Manchin, tipping the scale. Critical race theory is a quasi-Marxist ideology that assumes American society is systemically racist. Many public schools are accused of teaching their students CRT. Some have defended the theory, like Atlanta Public Schools, which says in a statement, "While CRT is not taught in our classrooms, this work is critically important because while our nation has laid the foundation of modern democracy and pluralism, we cannot forget that these ideals were, and in some instances continues to be, denied for many." But one of their schools was caught in a scandal recently, something critics are calling a product of CRT. A parent filed a federal discrimination complaint against Maryland Elementary School for segregating black and white students. Kyla Posey said to a local station that she wanted to transfer her child to another classroom, but the principal said it won't work.
She said that that's not one of the black classes, and I immediately said, what does that mean? I was confused. I asked for more clarification. I was like, we have those in the school? And she proceeded to say that, yes, I have decided that I'm going to place all of the black students in 2 classes.
In a recorded call, the assistant principal said it was the principal's idea and that it was done to give black students the services they need. Miguel Moreno, NTD News.
The Chinese regime is threatening the head of a private art school in San Francisco to resign, but she's not planning to give up. Here's NTD's Eileen Egg with more details.
Half a block from Golden Gate Park is the San Francisco High School of the Arts. It is a private art school for middle and high school students. It also offers dance, music, and visual arts courses. A group of Bay Area parents founded the school in 2010, hoping their children would learn more traditional arts. But recently, the principal, Sherry Zhang, said the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP, threatened her parents.
So the national security officers visited them and threatened that if I don't stop being the principal and head of school of San Francisco High School of the Arts, then they may forcefully close down my parents' enterprise, and they may even go to jail.
The CCP is threatening Zhang because she practices a spiritual discipline called Falun Dafa. Under CCP rule, practitioners are tortured and killed for their beliefs. Zhang's parents are not Falun Dafa practitioners, but she said her parents are in danger of losing their business of 30 years.
They've been hardworking and honest business people, and they invest so much into their business. So, of course, they don't want it to close down, and it has been detrimental for them.
But Zhang doesn't plan on giving up the school because she is one of the founders.
And we are here to teach students to have perseverance. We also teach them, because through traditional art training, they learn to work hard, they learn to not giving in, and they learn to persevere, they learn to have self-discipline. So all of the values that we are teaching our students, they learning through the traditional art training is exactly what I also need to maintain during this incident.
The school's mission is to provide students with an exceptional education in traditional arts and academics while focusing on character development, so that they may positively contribute to the world. Zhang believes that having a good education that passes down culture and knowledge is important for future society. Eileen Ang, NTD News, California.
The hacker or hackers behind one of the biggest ever cryptocurrency heists have returned nearly half of around $600 million in stolen digital coins. That's according to a blockchain researcher. Chris Dignam reports.
Cryptocurrency platform Poly Network said on Wednesday that it lost an estimated $600 million in digital coins in what could be the biggest ever cyber heist of the decentralized asset. But later on Wednesday, blockchain analytics firm Elliptic said hackers had returned $258 million worth of the stolen digital coins back to Poly Network after a plea from the platform urging the hackers to return the stolen crypto to its rightful place. Earlier, Poly Network announced the hack on Twitter and posted details of digital wallets to which it said the money was transferred, urging people to blacklist tokens from those addresses, and said it planned to take legal action. Despite nearly half of the stolen crypto being returned, the theft is one of the biggest ever in cryptocurrency markets, which in 2018 saw the $530 million heist from Tokyo-based exchange CoinCheck and the 2014 collapse of the Mt. Gox exchange, also based in Tokyo, after it lost $500 million in Bitcoin. The latest attack comes as losses from theft, hacks, and fraud related to decentralized finance hit an all-time high, raising the risk of both investing in the sector and of regulators looking to crack down on it.
Apple says it will refuse demands from governments to use its child safety technology for surveillance. But security experts have concerns over the system, which would involve scanning iPhone photos before they're uploaded to the cloud. A security expert tells NTD's Jane Werrell about their potential risks.
Apple faces criticism for its plans to scan images of photo libraries on iPhones for known images of child abuse. The technology is first being used in the United States before plans for a wider rollout across the world. Professor Ross Anderson says it's prudent to be suspicious.
So what Apple has come up with is a system whereby your photos will be scanned on your iPhone before they are even encrypted and uploaded to the iCloud. And by this means, Apple hopes to diffuse, I believe, the criticism that they're not going to make iCloud contents available to the FBI for scanning. However, the result will be much worse, because what they're doing is to embed into everybody's iPhone a mechanism whereby photos and other material can be scanned for stuff that is sensitive according to some list that the government might set from time to time.
One of the big concerns is how this technology could be used by authoritarian governments to silent dissent?
Well, the precedent actually goes to China, because in 2008, the government in Peking insisted that every PC sold in the country have software installed in it called Green Dam. And this was described as a pornography filter, but what it was actually doing was searching for words of interest to Ministry of State security officials, such as Falun Gong and Dalai Lama, on everybody's PCs in China. And the initial implementation had a bug in that it made people's computers insecure, and anybody running the Green Dam software could have their computer taken over by any website they visited. China scans stuff in iCloud for iPhone users because they insisted that Apple hold all the iCloud storage at 3 data centers in China operated by a state-owned company. So in authoritarian countries, that battle is already lost. But the interesting things that we're likely to see with Apple, for example, is that Apple has said that they won't put any images other than the American images into their database. But the Australians, for example, have a law which says that the Australian government can use such mechanisms for its own purposes. And there's no way that the UK would tolerate iPhones only looking for images of missing children in America. The UK is going to insist that iPhones look for photos of missing children in the UK instead.
He also says there are problems with the algorithm.
There are serious issues about what the Apple neural match algorithm, as it's called, is looking for. It looks very much like a face recognition algorithm. So rather than looking for nakedness or genitalia or things like that, it's probably looking for the faces of both perpetrators and victims. And this means that quite a lot of the time when an alarm goes off and the person at Apple sees an adult with their clothes on, you can't just dismiss that as a false alarm, because this might either be a survivor of abuse or a perpetrator. And so they're going to have to build machinery to report to law enforcement, and law enforcement will build machinery to deal with that. And that then translates very, very easily to a circumstance in which you start putting persons of interest to the security service, or in an authoritarian country, you might put known dissidents or opposition leaders or banned religious leaders. And then the whole thing does actually become rather nightmarish.
Since facing the criticism, Apple has said it will refuse to comply with government demands to detect images that are not child sexual abuse material. But it hasn't all been criticism for Apple. Some children's charities and the UK government praised Apple's move. The Health Secretary supported it, tweeting he's delighted to see Apple taking meaningful action and that it's time for Facebook to follow their example. Apple says this programme is ambitious and protecting children is an important responsibility. These efforts will evolve and expand over time. Jane Warraw, NTD News, London.
A Confucius Institute in Indiana is under investigation. Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita announced he is looking into the ties between his state's Valparaiso University and the Beijing-funded institutes. Rokita says our investigation seeks to uncover whether the Chinese government has attempted to exert political influence and manipulate the attitudes and beliefs of Hoosiers through their Confucius Institutes. He has issued a civil investigative demand to the private Christian university, this to see whether it violated the Higher Education Act of 1965. The school has been hosting a Confucius Institute since 2008. And according to the Attorney General, the university reported that it received more than $1 million from the Chinese regime between 2010 and 2019. It's not exactly clear how the school has used the funding. The university denies any wrongdoing, saying it is and has always been transparent and compliant in its fund reporting. And pandemic outbreaks are popping up across China, and authorities are resorting to prevention measures critics consider extreme. In some of the worst cases, neighborhoods are sealed off with residents locked inside their homes.
A new wave of the CCP virus is hitting a dozen Chinese provinces. At the same time, more videos are circulating online showing the authorities' extreme control measures, such as sealing residents inside their homes if they don't comply. A video shows a man just a few steps from his home during exercises in the yard with no one else around. But pandemic control officers found him and sent him back inside. They followed him to his door and then sealed it shut.
进去，警告一次。好了，马上就回去。2分钟。警告第2次。2分钟。注意哪动？不要后悔哈。我干嘛了？你干嘛了？口罩戴了吗？
就在门口晒个太阳。我知道。我看到视频了。我知道，我跟你说一下。不要跟我讲。你看到吧？回家。
A minute later, the man tried to open his door and argue, but he was forced back inside. Another video shows a group chat. Someone in quarantine at home complained that their door would be sealed without warning if the pandemic control staff found that the residents opened the doors up to 3 times a day. They can't even dump their garbage. The person says the garbage sits inside and stinks.
Everything that's reported on television isn't always true, but it should be. NTD, the power of truth. Now available 24/7 on television and streaming platforms.